I think everyone in general needs really good communication, being able to express an idea or express, like, I'm trying to solve this problem, this is the problem, this are the issues I'm having, this is how it should look. Just being able to communicate clearly, I think it's super important, whatever role you're in. For games, also, you need to know understanding how games work really works. For example, there's a thing called the game loop. And so it's just a theory of how a game does actions every minute, right? Like, imagine you're playing any game nowadays. Every second of the game that's playing, there are things happening in the map or in whatever you're seeing, right? Like, if you're playing like a first-person shooter that is online, how does it manage to show in the screen what is going on? And if you click the mouse button, will it fire to someone else, and how does it hit that person? So lots of things are happening within milliseconds. Understanding the game loop is really, really important. There are two of the main engines nowadays. It's Unity and Unreal Engine. Fortnite, for example, one of the biggest games ever, has been made with Unreal Engine. The company Epic Games that makes the engine also made this game. So it's been really well developed in that sense. Usually Unreal Engine is used more for high-end projects. Like if you're thinking of big game studios, they might be pivoting for Unreal Engine. Knowing C++, it's quite an archaic, in quotes, programming language that not many people use nowadays. But for games, it's like highly required if you want to specialize yourself in like very specific roles. If you want to use, for example, Unity, which is the other competitor to Unreal, then you know C#. C# in the programming sense. Like C++, a lot easier, like a lot less stuff to deal with, but it's still a good programming language. And I would say those, also, if you're an artist and knowing stuff like using Maya or Substance Paint, knowing how materials work, and materials are basically a way for us to replicate textures that we see in real life, but we replicate them in a game, right? Like, for example, you think wood. How do we make wood look realistic, look like wood in a game? Or how do we make, a tire, rubber, look like rubber in a game? And so understanding materials and surfaces and all that stuff is really, really good. Concept art, for example. There are many skills that a game developer can have. So I'm kind of giving advice to different people. Like, if you're a programmer, do this. If you're an art, do that. But many people can do, there are lots of roles that you can do as a game developer. Well, I started with programming, because that's what I do. There's also, you can do concept art. Concept art requires you to translate an idea into a drawing that can then help teams shape the way that a game will look. This is also used for movies, for example. There's also UI production. So you're working with UI user interfaces to make them, come up and display in a specific way. There's also user research. You're doing some research to understand what users might be playing these games. You can do music, of course, or sound design. You can do QA, quality assurance. There is more like specific 3D modeling, or you're actually making 3D models yourself. For example, you're making a wooden plank, or you're making a billiards, the balls. But there's also people that do stuff like technical art, where you are a programmer, but you work with the art side of things. So you are making materials and shaders and like really complicated graphic stuff. And those are kind of some of the main roles. There's also legal, of course, very important. And there's lots of crossover with what you can do as a game developer. Also, of course, we have producers, product managers, product owners who work to make games, help us make games.